Okay, this is a extremely unhappy picture of one Scottie Pippen Jr. Why so unhappy, Scottie? You're actually playing in the National Basketball Association. I only bring this up to say, if we were doing an NBA draft show right now, I think the comparable, if you will, from one Bronny James would be Scottie Pippen Jr. The big question on the underrated NBA show tonight is, should Bronny James stay or should he go to the National Basketball Association? All right, North America, thanks so much for tuning in. One shameless plug before we get into the content. Do check out our brand new sports website at underrated.media when you have a chance. All right. Now, in terms of Bronny James actually staying in college or going to the National Basketball Association, big topic today. Shams reported early in the morning, USC freshman Bronny James is declaring for the 2024 NBA draft. James, 19, also is entering the NCAA transfer portal to maintain flexibility. No word yet if he did this all on just one computer, two computers, or if he did the transfer portal with his mobile phone. Anyways, the combo guard will work out for and visit NBA teams and make a draft decision based on evaluation. All right, so let me just jump to the front of this particular story. Is Bronny James really going to go to Texas? Is Bronny James really going to go to UConn? Is Bronny James really going to go to Duke, where, of course, LeBron James would have loved to have gone to if he played actual college basketball? Look, I think at the end of the day, Bronny James is actually going to take advantage of Klutch Sports and LeBron James and actually enter the NBA draft and ultimately not only enter it, but he's actually going to get picked. You know, unlike Scottie Pippen Jr., who in 2022 went undrafted, eventually got signed to a free agency contract with the Los Angeles Lakers, and as you all know, is now an unhappy member of the Memphis Grizzlies. Look, at the end of the day, Bronny James's decision to stay in college is probably something that I think he probably doesn't really want to do, but he's keeping his options open. Now, we know about the cardiac arrest and the health issues that he had, and we know that Bronny James didn't necessarily put up NBA caliber numbers in his first year at USC. Look, let's just be honest. But in basketball, players get better over a period of time. The NBA draft is all about drafting players with potential. Very few players who actually enter the NBA draft, especially in that first round, actually really amount to anything for 2 or 3 years. It takes time. You can't bake the bread in 30 seconds. It's that simple. So look, at the end of the day, Bronny James will most likely push his dad, push Klutch Sports, who, by the way, is the largest holder of NBA players from an agency perspective in the NBA. In other words, they have more players signed up with Klutch Sports than any of the other agents do in the NBA. Look, we'll talk about how this whole agency business works on another show, but it's absolutely fascinating. And in fact, agencies, you can't just be an agent. You actually have to go through an approval process, and there's a very few firms which actually make it through that approval process. So at the end of the day, Klutch Sports actually holds many of the cards when it comes to Bronny James. Look, if LeBron James wants to go to New York, if LeBron James wants to go to Cleveland, if LeBron James, for some strange, bizarre reason, decides he wants to go to Phoenix and play with Kevin Durant, Klutch Sports can make that happen. It is simply an email, text message, message in the sky with an airplane that writes letters up in the sky to the rest of the National Basketball Association: do not pick Bronny James. They can essentially control where Bronny James would go in the NBA. Now, is Bronny James going to get picked during the first day of the NBA draft? Remember, the NBA draft is now 2 days. The first round is the first night, and the second round is the second night. Look, I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, if Bronny went in the first round. But if he were to go in the first round or second round, regardless of that, clearly this is going to be one of those things where LeBron James is going to get his wish. He is going to get the opportunity, like desperately seeking Susan, that Madonna movie. He's going to get his desperately seeking one of his sons to play with him in the National Basketball Association. And absolute, he'll turn it into a reality because LeBron James is LeBron James. Now, in terms of Bronny's ability, his pure ability to play in the NBA, I'm gonna read something here that Chris Mannix said. Now, Chris Mannix, of course, is talking about what some of the NBA scouts said. This is coming out of Sports Illustrated. NBA scouts are divided on James. He has elite defensive tools, but lacks the size to defend bigger guards. He showed flashes of being a strong playmaker, but isn't a traditional point guard. His shooting was streaky. Still, he performed well given the near tragic cardiac incident he had last summer. James will go through the evaluation process before making a decision on the NBA draft. Look, once again, if LeBron James decides he wants to play in New York and go to Madison Square Garden, Bronny will be there. If LeBron James decides he wants to stay with the Los Angeles Lakers, Bronny will be there. This is truthfully a question for Bronny to answer, which is, Bronny, do you want to go back to college and play at Ohio State, West Virginia, Duke, UConn, assuming any of those teams would have you? Do you want to go to any of those teams? Look, in terms of Bronny James going out on his own and ending up on a team like a contender team, there's very few teams in the NBA who are actual contenders who would want that circus of Bronny James and the James clan following him around at this point. Look, Bronny James certainly looks like he could play in the NBA. I gotta say, there's a lot of college players, regardless of how they actually performed, who could, with practice, with experience in the G League, with experience overseas, ultimately show up and play in the National Basketball Association. Look, there are countless examples of players who got drafted and didn't get drafted in the NBA who have become very successful. The NBA draft ultimately is really all about looking for talent, evaluating that talent, and then getting that talent to actually bubble to the top. And that, my friends, definitely takes time. And I hope that for Bronny James, he actually gets that, regardless of wherever he ends up. I'm just going to say it. I think he's ultimately going to end up with LeBron James in Los Angeles. All right, I want to know what you think, North America. Drop in your comments. Should Bronny stay or go to the association? What would you do? I mean, I would leap to the NBA. Even if I knew I was going to have to spend a lot of time in the G League, I would forego the last 3 years of college to play hoops in the NBA 99.999% of the time. All right, that's it for today's Underrated NBA show. As always, North America, I am Dave DeVaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day. To the guitar riffs we go.